Well, great listeners and viewers, Chili is in a frazzle because he just got obliterated in Jiu-Jitsu challenge. Literally 3 out of 3. Chili, you turned into a worm on that last match. I mean,
Well, yeah, I wasn't trying on the last match.
Why did you stop trying?
Well, I was at the beginning, but then you just kind of eased up and looked at the coach and Jason and was like,
because you weren't doing anything.
No, I stopped doing anything then.
I felt like you weren't doing anything prior to that.
No, you started talking to him, and I was like, what is this? Are we even going anymore? So I just stopped. And
he turtled up.
I mean, he turned into a straight worm, son.
He did.
Three times. Tapped him out 3 out of 3, man.
Yeah.
The crow, Chili.
Well, I don't know how
Was that your first time ever practicing jiu-jitsu?
Yeah. That was the first time I've ever, yeah, I've never even stepped foot in a gym, been told anything about how to do it. Nothing. So that was all new. So I didn't have any bad habits going in, so that was good.
That is a good thing. That's a legit workout, man. I feel it. I'm not a jiu-jitsu practitioner either, by the way, for you guys that are listening. I feel it all the way down my dang spine, dude. Really, that mess is rough on you.
Yeah.
I don't know how people do that day in and day out. Like, I feel it in my back straps, alongside of my spine.
I think he was working harder than I was.
I don't know how people do that day in and day out. Yeah, exactly.
Stretched out them tenderloins.
How do you guys that do jiu-jitsu, how do you do that all the time without getting injured?
Well, I think flexibility is a big part of it. You have to be pretty flexible.
I'm extremely not flexible. Like if I'm on my back and I've got to do something with my legs, I just am like, I might as well not try. Like I'm not. It's like bring it to your chest, bring it to. No, I really can't.
You're kind of like a board.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm inflexible too. Yeah. I've never been big on stretching and stuff.
You supposed to stretch to do jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, I think you're supposed to be pretty flexible.
Oh.
Yeah, I imagine you'd want to be pretty limber. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
You can start popping stuff pretty quick in there. As a runner, do you think you need to be flexible?
No, I think it hurts you.
I've always thought the same thing. I mean, you're just doing a very simple repetitive motion over and over again.
Maybe as a sprinter or something you would want to be, huh?
Not really, no. I mean, probably even less as a sprinter because
you want to be tight.
Yeah, like a spring, man. Muscles just elastic, ready to freaking explode.
Yeah.
I mean, sprinters are weird creatures. Like I'm sure some of the best sprinters in the world are pretty flexible too, but it works against you in distance running. Being flexible, like you want to be as efficient as possible, and the more flexible you are, the more you can just, like your legs will do weird things and bend and,
I wonder if that's why people don't have all these knee problems and crap, because they're too dang flexible. You've been stretching too much. You got knee problems, you got hip problems, joint problems. It's because you've been stretching too much.
If you're flexible, quit running and go do jiu-jitsu.
You want your joints and stuff, man, to be tight, pulled together, bound up tight.
Yeah.
You don't want all that flexibility. I don't enjoy stretching. Stretching to me is a miserable evolution. I mean, you get me in a quad stretch or something, I'm about to break out a sweat, son. That mess hurts.
About to hit this stretch evolution.
You stretch, CB?
No, just what little bit I stretch is in the warm up at CrossFit. That's it.
It would probably be good for jiu-jitsu if you were double jointed, like and stuff would bend backwards and
how it shouldn't.
Yeah, that'd probably be good.
Dude, I couldn't believe that video AJ showed of him breaking that dude's leg.
rough.
Like if that would have been my leg, I would be so pissed.
And that happened quick too.
Yeah, it happened real quick. Yeah, that's a dangerous sport if you're going to compete in it for sure. I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm sold on it yet or not.
Competing in an amateur tournament and get your knee broke.
That would tick
me off, dude.
Yeah, you're down for a long time, buddy. If you ever even come back 100% again from something like that.
Have you practiced jiu-jitsu enough to know what you were trying to do when we were rolling?
If Jason wouldn't have been coaching me, like as me and Chili were doing our matches, he had a coach, I had a coach, and so Jason, I know enough to get in to get in the positions that I want to get in.
I don't even know like what position I should have been fighting for.
Yeah, well, he went over it.
Well, I know, but he didn't.
The
even,
back.
That was what I kept saying. It was like, well, how do I get here and not like give up? You know.
Yeah, you just didn't have the time.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, so I wouldn't. I was just rolling around.
Yeah, see, I knew enough to kind of know I want to be on top or on your back or something like that, right? And then from there, I wouldn't have really known what to do if Jason wasn't standing there like, okay, now pull his head up, wrap your arm around, you know, grab his hand, whatever. That helped tremendously. It was probably, I mean, I've been to multiple classes, jiu-jitsu classes, but I probably learned more in that than any other class that I've ever been in, because most of the classes I've been to, you know, you learn a couple of like new moves, and then you rep them a little bit, a time or two, and then you just kind of pair up with people and you're rolling, right? Yeah. But to be able to be in a match and have someone there to kind of talk you through it as you're doing it, I could see you could probably get really good really quick like that, you know, if you had that one-on-one type of instruction. Yeah. You know? Yeah. I don't know. It's pretty cool. Blake set that up for us. But we all know that I am, you know, I'm an ultra runner. And if we learned one thing this past weekend, it's that the old bull has still got it, boys.
Podium finish.
The old bull still got it. I've been thinking the 307 Project Trail Race. A lot of you guys listening were probably out there, and I don't know if you agree with me, but it was an amazing day of running. A lot of people set new PRs out there. A lot of old friendships and friends coming together and sharing time and miles out there on the course. And I actually got to run this year at our race. It's the first time I had ever ran one of our races. It's a 4-mile loop. It's a really tough loop. There's a brutal, brutal climb and then a big downhill. It's pretty much the entire loop. The whole time, I thought I finished third. I've been thinking since I finished that race that I finished in third place.
Well, you even said the results say fifth, and I've got to get them to fix that because that's not right.
Well, I didn't know the results said fifth until Chili told me on Monday.
Yeah.
I thought it was Blake, not you, Blake, but Blake, Ultra Preacher. I knew he was in front. Then I thought it was Roman because Roman's usually always second. And then
if you don't win.
If you don't win, yeah. Blake's dominated now, Mountain Mama. He's taking his running real seriously. Blake is. I mean, he's taking it seriously like we used to take it seriously. Yeah. So he's going to be hard to beat. And then Roman in second, and then I thought Mason was in third. Because in the past, Mason has ran, really well at our races. So I was just gunning for him the whole time. And I didn't pass him until like the last hour and a half. It took me a long time to reel him in. I was banking on Mason's inexperience to allow me to pass him. Like I was banking on he knew I was behind him. He was going to push a little harder than he should push and eventually slow down. And I was talking crap to him from lap 1 too, just getting in his head. But there were 2 guys between Mason and Roman that I didn't even know about. And Chili knows one of them.
So know of him, yeah.
Congratulations, guys. 2 guys. Does anybody remember?
Well, congratulations, 4 guys.
Yeah, 4 beat you.
I'm congratulating the 2.
Did you pass Mason?
The 2 that basically reaped my soul because I thought I was in third place. I'm congratulating the 2 that put me in 5th place from thinking I was in third place.
Did you pass you ended up passing Mason?
Yeah, I passed Mason, yeah. I was talking crap to him the whole time. Literally on the first loop, I said, you know what, Mason, when I beat you in this race, it's not even really going to be much of an accomplishment because you're not even a runner anymore. You're a high rocks athlete. a high rocks athlete. I mean, hold on. Let's
Brooke
pause
here for this.
Let's pause on the 3 of 7 Project Trail Race for just a minute, and let's just talk about how stupid this freaking high rocks thing is. Okay, let's talk about it. All right, Chili, let's talk. Tell me your perspective on this high rocks.
Well, no, tell me yours. Look, I think it's all stupid. Look, I can't have a discussion about how stupid High Rocks is with somebody that likes CrossFit. You like CrossFit.
No, I don't. I've been in CrossFit in a long time, man.
Oh, man. I've been there in a while. It's been a long time. Long time.
Look, let me tell you what High Rocks is, all right? Well, look, it's the same workout.
Yeah.
At every single event.
I didn't even know that. You told me that.
Nothing changes. Okay, it's the same workout over and over. And like, how quick are you going to get bored with that?
Well, it's easy to train for.
After 1 or 2? And look, let me tell you what High Rocks is. High Rocks is this new thing that has come on the scene here in the fitness industry. And because it's new, it hasn't drawn over any really good, like legitimate competitors.
True.
So it is a place where average people, such as myself, can go and compete and win and feel like they are actually good athletes. That's what High Rocks is.
Clip that.
Clip that. High Rocks is a place where an average person can go and win and then act like he's a real athlete, a real competitor.
Now, having said that, we will be doing a High Rocks match later this summer. No, not really.
Y'all should.
We should.
Oh, yeah. So as I was passing Mason with an hour and a half left, I'm coming up behind him, and he's like, "Oh, why don't you do a High Rocks with me?" I was like, "No, I'm not interested in High Rocks." He's like, "Well, you can be my partner." How gay is that, man? High Rocks.
What's up with even the name?
Hey, what a genius thing they created, though. They created.
Well, it's just repackaging a different cardio workout that is not popular. So then, exactly. So like, you start over from the beginning. So anybody who wants to be good at something can do it. They're good at first. Now, if High Rocks continues on, it'll get better and better. But like, basically, it's CrossFit and all these things have run its course. So you have to make something new so you can do that again. 5 years, if High Rocks continues, there'll be another one. You know,
yeah.
It'll be air raid.
Yeah.
And you do this, and you do a lot of skiing, and then bicycling, and then you run again, and then you do like 13 push-ups, and then you run again, and it'll be like, yeah, I'm the best in the world at air raid.
Hey,
That's how everything works, right?
Yeah.
in 5 years, we need to make it happen.
Oh, I mean, what a genius business model this High Rocks has come up with. It's a genius business model. You don't even have to think. You're hosting the exact same workout every single time.
How much do they cost to enter?
I don't know. I'm sure, and good for them, by the way. It's genius.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this isn't a hit on the makers of High Rocks. Like, it's freaking genius. I'm literally sitting here thinking, why didn't I think of that? I mean, I'm out here, we're out here doing all these complex missions and stuff, and it's like, I could have just came up with something where people rode and skied and ran the same workout over and over again and made millions of dollars. It's genius.
What do you think, Corn?
I ain't got nothing against High Rocks, bud.
You was thinking about doing one, wasn't you?
I mean, I think it's pretty cool when I watch those folks doing it.
If it wasn't
I have
turkey
heard
season,
they're anti-turkey hunting, though.
Are they?
yeah, if it wasn't turkey season, you was going to sign up.
Oh, yeah.
I remember we was talking about it.
I actually
say more
know.
power to 'em.
I actually know a High Rocks athlete that walked out the front door this morning and said, I can't even walk outside for more than 30 seconds this time of year without hearing one of them stinking turkeys gobble. So that's what High Rocks people think about turkeys.
Well, that's good. They won't be in the woods. They'll be practicing their High Rocks. Go for it.
So that's my 2 cents on High Rocks.
Back to the 3 of 7 Project Trail Race.
The 3 of 7 Project Trail Race. I'm going to tell you what, son. I'm going to tell y'all, I'll tell you guys here in just a minute, my hardest moment on the whole course, all right? It was a defining moment for me, very clear to me when it got hard, and I'm going to tell you guys that story here in just a minute. But before we do that, I got to tell you about our partners here that made this episode possible and also contributed to the 3 of 7 Project Trail Race. And I have to start with our partner, Barbell Apparel, because I ran for 8 hours in their new Ultra Shorts, and they were spectacular, son. They have all the features that I was looking for. They're a lot lighter weight than some of the older shorts, like the Ranger shorts and stuff like that. But they're also durable enough that you can use them for trail running, and you're not going to tear them on every little briar that you pass, right? They have 2 different lengths, which I also loved that. They have a 5-inch and a 3-inch. So kind of fits all different types. If you like a shorter short like me, it is available now from Barbell Apparel. They have zippered pockets. They also have a pocket in the back that's zippered where you can keep small items like a gel or car keys. All the way around, they were spectacular. I did the whole race in the same pair with nothing under them, and I was really impressed with them. Yeah, I was really impressed.
That's big.
Creepy, Bub.
3-inch shorts.
Yeah, I was in the 3 inches. Yeah, the 3-inch shorts. Yeah, and they also have they also have the Ultra Shorts now branded with the "Be Hard When It Gets Hard" logo. And the pair that I was wearing had that branding on it. Looks really sharp. The color that I like in the new Ultra Short is the sage. It's a really nice, soft green color. It looks great, man. I'm just super impressed. Basically, Barbell took everything all the input that we have given them, throughout the last 2 years, and they built it into the Ultra Short. So there will be a link to those in the description of this episode. On top, I had the Ultralight Tech Tee, ran in that the whole time. I had the white one on, and it hit the spot as usual. Our other partner.
I got that new shirt, too.
Oh, yeah, man.
That's big.
I know. That is big. I've got 2 of these at the house. Quitting off the table. That is a good-looking shirt, man.
Yeah, I think my favorite's the white, too. It looks good in
Got
white.
some more on the way if you want
Oh,
white.
okay. Well, hey.
A lot of exciting stuff. Barbell's always doing something new, man. And then we got our partner, Drink HOIST, another huge player out at the race and also huge contributor to the show right here. You guys know we've been using HOIST for years. It has everything that you need in it to keep you going and keep you out there longer. It is more than just a beverage. It's battlefield proven, IV level hydration. Your body absorbs it very well. It sits well with your stomach. It has potassium, magnesium, and all the electrolytes that you need in it. 14 grams of carbohydrates, 70 calories, no preservatives, no dyes or colorings. It's made in America. And by the way, huge breakthrough with HOIST too. Their powder is now going to be dye-free. All right?
Coming soon. I don't think it's out yet, but
coming soon. The powder version of HOIST is going to be dye-free. So if you guys get out there, you get after it, you sweat, you work out, you need something to replenish your electrolytes, keep some HOIST around. It's going to make a big difference. It tastes amazing. There's tons of different flavors. Made in America, awesome people with an awesome product. Check that out at drinkhoist.com. So those are our partners who play a big role in making everything possible. So if you get something out of these shows, one way to give back is to support our partners at Drink HOIST and Barbell Apparel. Hardest moment of the race for me. Okay, lap 9. So I knew Mason was in front of me. I've been reeling him in. Lap 8 was the first time I saw him. He was coming out of the aid station as I was coming in. I hadn't seen him in a long, long time. And I knew he was slowing down. Of course, I talked some crap to him. So lap 9, I passed him. Early on in the lap. I passed him before the climb. And he was going real slow. And like when I passed him, I gapped him hard. Like I gapped him hard by the top of the climb. There was a lot of space between us. All right. Well, look, I go across the ridge and I'm coming down off the mountain on lap 9. I look at my dang watch and I say, if I continue on at this pace, I'm going to have just barely enough time to do another lap. And let me tell you right now, I did not want to do another lap.
Yeah.
I was sick and tired of climbing that stinking hill. I've been running for, at this point,
7 hours.
7 hours. And I'm like, son of a gun. And here's another thing. In terms of placement, it wasn't going to matter because, well, first of all, I didn't even...
you were in third.
I thought I was in third place, and I knew Roman was way ahead of me.
Yeah.
I didn't even know about these other 2 guys up front, but they were far enough ahead of me in terms of time I wasn't going to catch them anyways. So running a 10th lap wasn't going to make any difference in terms of my placement in the race. I literally could have slowed down a half a step in my pace, and I could have came across the finish line there at lap 9, and it would have been obvious that I would not have had enough time to go out for lap 10, and then I could have took me about a 45-minute break while the clock ran out, and it wouldn't have made any difference in my placement. And so that was such a great exercise for me to hold myself to the same standard that I would expect other people to hold themselves to out there on that race course if I would have been out there with my bullhorn, right? It was such a great moment for me to make that mindset shift and say, like we talk about all the time, we're going to hold ourselves to a standard here and not just focus on the result. Because, again, me running further wasn't going to change the result whatsoever. So I kept pushing it, came in off of lap 9, and I had just barely enough time that I had to hustle to get that 10th lap done. And, I mean, even as long as I've been doing this stuff, you know, it never really... I'm not going to say it never gets easier, but I am going to say it's always hard. It never doesn't get hard to make those decisions in those moments, right? I don't care how long you've been doing it. The temptation is going to come across your mind, especially when you can kind of sandbag it a little bit and you know it's not going to change the outcome. The outcome is what it's going to be. It's so easy to just sandbag it a little bit and say, it's all good. So it was such a good repetition for me because it is still hard. And it did cross my mind. Just slow down a little bit and come in with 40 minutes left instead of 55 minutes left. You know what I mean? But I was able to hold myself to the standard, come in, go back out, and get my 10th lap in. And so that was the toughest point of the race for me. That was like the only, and on the 10th lap was a real blessing too because I was able to catch up with some guys. One being Philip Radick, John Radick's brother, who's a good friend of ours. I was able to catch up with some guys who were out on their 10th lap, and we were toward the end of the lap, and there's a hill, and it's my opinion it's the hardest part of the course. The hardest part of the course isn't the big climb, because you know the big climb's there. Like, when you get to it, you know it's there. You're like, okay, this is a climb. I know the pace I need to go up this climb. That's not – the hardest part is when you come off the mountain, and you come down, you go by Marble Mine, and you come out on that fire road, that gravel road, the 2-track, it opens up where it's hard to stick the flags in the ground, Chili. Yeah. You go down a nice gradual slope for a while on that gravel road, and then it pitches back up. and it's a very gentle hill on that gravel road. In ultra running, that's what we call a douche grade, because it's not steep enough to walk, but it is steep enough that when you run it, it gets your heart rate up. And so you should run that. You know what I'm saying? Well, we got on lap 10, we got around to that, and I saw Phillip and a couple other guys they come and they're going up that little grade, up that gravel hill, and I saw them, both of them were looking at their clocks, and they realized, I've got enough time, I can walk it in. And both of them started walking up that hill. And I yelled at them and I said, you're walking right now because you know you have enough time to walk it in. But you can run, and you know you can run. But you're sandbagging it because you know you have time to sandbag it. And I yelled out to them basically that. And both of them started running. And they ran all the way up the hill, ran hard into the finish line. And I got to talk to Phillip afterwards, and he was really thankful that that I was able to give him the encouragement to really push in that final moment. When he didn't necessarily have to, which is the same battle that I had been fighting between loops 9 and 10. So these are the things that you learn when you go out and do these types of races, man. It's really fun. It was really fun for me, not only to be out there with the people who were out there, but to, get to tune myself up a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What was y'all's perspective from the backside? Corn was, I imagine you got to talk to a lot of people, CB.
Yeah.
Blake, you were kind of hanging out around the aid station.
Go ahead, Blake.
I mean, the races are always like just being there and being around, getting to talk to all the different people and be around that, especially ours, is always just uplifting to me. Like, you leave there wanting to do that more. You're like, dang, it's a lot of work, but like that was a good day. And I want to do that more. I don't know that there was any really defining moments for me. I tried to spend more time out on the course, like not doing as many laps, but just like lingering on the course and encouraging people on the hill. James spent a lot of time out there with the bullhorn on the hill.
Yeah, he did.
I would run a little section and stop, encourage some people, and pick back up and try to run with somebody new. And so I didn't run it, competing like you, but I did try to spend more time out there, and that was cool just to be in one spot and see people struggling with the same thing at the same spot and just push them along.
There's really no other race where the race directors are out, I mean, if you want to call us the race directors, out on the course, either running it competitively or just encouraging people, I have thought about that in the past at all the races. Like, we've always done that, and that is nowhere else. There probably is somewhere, now that I say that. Someone would be like, well, but that's
generally speaking.
Yeah, generally, that's really unique.
Yeah, it is. It is. And that's because usually the race director has got to be working stuff on the backside. And Brooke is the legit race director at these races. She makes all this happen. She gets the permits. And Courtney works with Brooke on some of the races too, but Chili and Courtney weren't able to be there at this one. They had a wedding that they had to attend. So, a big shout out to Brooke because she makes all this happen and puts us in the position that we can do and participate in the way that we do get to participate. So
it was neat too how many groups of people. Like in the past, I feel like there have been a couple groups, but generally it's just a bunch of like individual people coming. But there was that one big group from the rehab deal, and then 29029.
I think. F3 is their organization, yeah. 29029, there were a bunch of people out training for that, yeah.
Brassfield and Gorey, I mean, I don't know why they had I don't even know those guys, but they had a group of, that's like a construction
company, yeah.
But they had a group that had 10 up, and there was one or two other that had multiple people. Yeah, Kevin and them.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It was pretty neat to watch all the groups. Like I hadn't seen that before. There was just like a bunch of people that would come to
That is cool, man.
And what was it? You remember the guy's name that you might not have noted, Chad, that got the big old gash in his shin?
Jeremy.
But he went and got it fixed and come back.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool. He went to the ER or wherever he went and got it stitched up.
7 stitches or something.
Good night.
Yeah.
He took a
that
hard
was
fall.
on the first
then.
lap. Yeah. Yeah. He went and got it fixed and come back and run again.
That's legit right there, son. Man. Outstanding day. Thank you, all you guys who came out and ran. Like I told you while you're out there, you guys are the lifeblood of 307 Project, and you guys show up time after time. You work hard. You put out. You join in and help the people around you, and you guys just, you make the whole community aspect of that event possible. So, and if you haven't been out to experience it, I highly recommend you coming. I think you can sign up for the Mountain Mama Farms race right now.
Yeah, it's on Ultra Sign Up. Mountain Mama Farms.
I like how Chad, 5th place, talked about how bad he beat the 6th place person.
Yeah, that is funny.
And
You beat the crap out of him.
gapped him, boy. I just gapped him.
You
something
destroyed
serious.
him. You destroyed him, dude.
I'm gonna be totally honest with you. I knew that Blake, Hughes, and Roman were out of my league, but I knew that Mason was gonna run hard, and I was confident that I could beat him, but knew I would have to work hard to beat him, because he was talking crap to Brooke the night before, telling Brooke to keep me up all night and all this because he wanted to beat me at the race. So I knew he was going to run hard, but I wasn't even thinking about Blake and Roman. Wasn't even, because I was like, these guys actually trained for this.
You weren't thinking about 3rd and 4th either.
Yeah, and then these 2 mystery guys in the middle had no clue they were even going to be there. I bet if you totaled my weekly mileage for the past 6 months, it would be between 0 and 5 miles per week.
Oh, I thought you was running more than that.
No.
Not average the last 6 months.
Elliot told me, he said, it's impressive watching Chad. He said, or maybe it was 10 Man, one of them two, and they said, man, he must have been training real hard. I said, no.
I mean, I guess since I've dogged you so much about getting 5th, I will say your out of shape is still pretty good. Like, when you're out of shape, it ain't that far off of your in shape. That's a compliment.
I'll be flat out. I can't believe I ran 40 miles on that course.
I mean, because you in shape wouldn't run that much more. I mean, really, like you in shape wouldn't beat that by that much.
Not by a ton.
You know what I'm
I think I
saying?
could have got one more lap.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
You know the difference was between when you're trained and when you go into something untrained. The difference for me that I realized was I didn't have any power on the back half of the race.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't. I
fade like a.
Yep. Like I had no speed on the back half of the race. Whereas if you're trained, you should be able to leverage some speed when you need it on the back half of the race. That was the biggest difference.
Well, you and Chili got that other race coming up, too.
I've literally tried to tell you.
The Nick Bear last man standing
I've tried
race.
to tell you over and over again that I'm not going to do that.
Buddy, if you want to crawfish, you gave your word that you would do that race. So
word.
if you want to crawfish on that,
Listen to Blake.
I'm going to tell you, I will broadcast to the world that you crawfished on that because you said you would be at that race.
Well,
I called and confirmed it with you.
Well, that's fine. I'll say I crawfish. I don't care. I'm
Chili,
not going to do it.
That shows poor character.
You don't care about
That's
crawfishing on your
that's-
word?
I don't
that's
care
not what we
that
represent
I don't
here
care
at
that I'm
307
not going to
Project.
do this race. I'm not going to do it.
Well,
Why would I feel bad about that?
Because you said you would.
Because you said you would, Chili.
You did.
And I literally talked to Nick for you
I told
on
you not
your
to do
behalf. No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did. I said you need to give this. Let someone else have that. That's what I
No,
said.
you didn't, Chili.
Not when he called and asked if you
So
didn't say
now,
Like,
now
you
you're
don't even
crawfishing
know.
and you're lying
How am I lying?
because
that. That's
Chili.
not what you said.
Yeah.
I haven't told you that I wasn't doing it. I
Not
think I
when
made
he
that
called
clear.
Nick. You was like, yeah, oh yeah, I'll do that.
Yep. Yep. I made sure to get confirmation from Chili before I reached out to Nick and told Nick, I'm not going to come do this race unless you let my pard Chili come and run it with me. And
I guess you're not gonna be doing it
and
either
because Nick is such a great friend
I guess you're not going to be doing it either.
and he cares about us, he opened up 2 spots for us to run his race in May. So I'll see you there. Enough said.
How can I be more clear?
I'm just telling you, Chill. Enough said.
I don't think I can be more clear other than I'll say it one last time. No, you won't.
I have a question for you guys, and then I want to kick it to CB for the Patreon question. But I have a question for you guys today. I listened to a podcast with Dr. Ben Carson. Does everybody know who he is?
Yeah, the black dude.
Yeah, Sean Ryan.
What a way to describe Ben Carson.
Well, I mean,
that's all you've got. Neurosurgeon, ran for president.
Yeah, Sean Ryan
I
had
voted for him.
Dr. Ben Carson on his show, and hey, if y'all hadn't listened to that podcast with him, you should listen to it. He's a very well-spoken man of faith. Faith is a huge part of his life, and he's just done some amazing things throughout his life. I didn't realize, but some of the surgeries that he was performing early in his career as a neurosurgeon, no one else would perform them because the mortality rate was so high. But he found ways to actually, and his specialty is pediatric neurosurgery. And like one of the surgeries that he performed early in his career that really put him on the board as a neurosurgeon, like stand out, is he was performing a surgery on children. Most of them, I think, were having like uncontrollable seizures, like hundreds of seizures a day. And he would go in and actually cut half of their brain out and leave the other half.
Dang.
And they would survive this surgery. Like one of the surgeries he was talking about doing was 22 hours long, I think. 21 or 22 hours long. Working on a child's brain.
I mean, did he say that, or are you is that what you gathered from the podcast, that he took half their brain out and they
No,
survived?
he says it. He calls it a
how is that possible?
hemispherectomy. Yeah. It's insane, dude.
I mean, how did they even determine that you can do that safely?
He said the first time it was performed was like in the 30s.
Wow.
But they stopped performing it because like everyone who was trying to do it was dying. You know, every patient who they were dying, but he figured out how to do it.
Dang.
So like this dude not only is one of the best neurosurgeons probably on the face of the earth, but he's also a man of great faith and very well spoken. And go listen to it if you haven't. But he said something that really made me think, man. So Sean was asking him, you guys know Sean's a huge advocate of psychedelics, the psychedelic drugs. And so Sean was asking him about like, well, what do you think about these psychedelic therapies? And Ben Carson started talking about how much of the human brain is basically not used. Like it's a massive percentage of the human brain that isn't being used for anything, apparently. And, you know, these psychedelic drugs are actually awakening parts of the human brain that aren't being used naturally. And Sean was like, well, what do you think about that? You know, and he was kind of rolling even the concept of Neuralink into the conversation, the same conversation, basically leveraging these drugs and this technology in order to tap hidden potential in the human brain. And Ben Carson said, you know what? it doesn't really even matter what I think about it because they're not going to stop. Like, they're not going to stop pushing forward with, one, the use of these drugs, and two, the use of technology to change the human brain. All right? He said it doesn't matter what I think about it because they're not going to stop. And then he said, have you ever heard the saying, curiosity killed the cat? And Sean was like, yeah. And he said, that's what's going to happen. He's like, we have a lot of curiosity. But essentially what we are doing, trying to do, by way of the use of these psychedelics and by way of the use of this technology, it's going to destroy us. That was his opinion without saying it that way, right? And so I got to thinking, man, have y'all ever thought about this? Like, what is up with all of this capacity that the human brain has that isn't being used? What's going on there?
Well, I would say first with the psychedelics and stuff is like the claims that they're making, it's tapping into unused parts. Like, I don't even see how that would even be known that is truth. Like, any type of drug or anything you take is either stimulating or depressing some function of the brain of what it's already doing to keep you alive. So anything past that, I don't see how they can say, well, this is opening up my brain where I can see into the spirit world or whatever. I mean, like, who says?
Yeah, well, Sean, and
who says?
Sean kind of asked him that too, CB, and Ben explained it in really layman's terms. Like, Sean was like, what's going on here? And Ben was like, well, this drug is basically removing some inhibitors in the brain that would generally be in place to block this function from happening. Now, what they're seeing into...
Yeah, that's how I understand it, and whatever that's worth, probably wrong then, but I believe that this is all connected to the spiritual realm, which I believe is real, and I believe that essentially we are operating in the physical realm and the spiritual realm simultaneously, yet we have basically how that works, how we can be operating in them both simultaneously but not essentially know it or sense the spiritual realm is because the physical realm is not behind a veil, but the spiritual realm there's like a veil in between us and that.
Well, it's also interesting that we can only see certain wavelengths of that. Like there are other things that could be seen, but we don't have the ability to see it. Like, our eyes don't register that. So it kind of plays into part of what you're saying.
It's like, I think the veil it's not like don't think literally a sheet, but it is essentially a veil over your senses, and that is quote unquote lifted. It's the only way you can describe it, by the additional chemicals into your brain, because those chemicals are already there. The big one is DMT. That is literally in you. Like, we all have dimethyltryptamine in our head being
I've heard that. Yeah.
excreted or whatever. So I think when you take certain things like that in high dosages, it increases the levels of this thing, which then gives you an increased capacity to sense more than you could sense currently without it. Mm-hmm. So I think it's not a hallucination. Like, I think certain drugs or street drugs that are not necessarily present in your head, all they do is tweak some things that, like, they stimulate things or depress things, and it just kind of alters your perception of reality. It doesn't alter your reality. It just alters, like, oh, you're on some kind of drug and you see some wild stuff or whatever. Like, you're just having a hallucination or something. But I think there's different set of compounds, these psychedelics, that it is essentially lifting that veil by increasing
your ability,
your actual ability.
Yeah.
Like I think there's a big difference in hallucinating and then taking a psychedelic drug and seeing more of the spiritual realm that is actually reality. Like it's real. But people think every time you see something under the influence of a drug, no matter what the drug is, they're like, oh, it's fake or whatever.
Something your mind just made up.
Yeah, I think sometimes
you're saying you're seeing something that actually exists outside of your mind,
but nobody can. But you can only see it unless if you've removed that veil. And for some reason, I think the way our brains are designed and those chemicals, I mean, I think God designed it that way, like for us to have that in us at the level that we have it, not like we're designed to use these things like this, but I think just the way it was designed, you can increase those compounds through exogenous psychedelic drugs and then see something that is there all the time, but you couldn't normally see it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's...
That's clearly... I think you defined that very well, yeah.
It's odd, like, the question you ask is, why do we have that ability to do that?
That's what I've been thinking about. Why is that? Why are those parts of our brain, why do they exist, but they can't be leveraged?
Yeah.
Because like Ben was even talking about, there are people who can make things move with their mind. He said this really exists. Like there are people who can use their mind to move a spoon on a table. Like this is this is coming from a neurosurgeon.
Yeah, I just don't know how much of all that I believe. That it's adding to what we already have and everything. I just really don't. I mean, I believe in the spiritual realm and everything else, but I just don't know how much of it that I believe that it's adding to what we already have and we just ain't able to do it without it. No.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing, the biggest reason I think that is because of well, I mean, you have to believe.
They've done studies that kind of prove that people are seeing into something that's actually there, and it's not a hallucination.
I mean, I'm still not sure about it.
They all see the same
thing.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm still not sure about it, but like that is a very interesting thing to try to take note of, because what else would that be? It's not a hallucination.
This is what I've been thinking about too, and Ben said that even with the Neuralink stuff, his understanding of it, basically, they will be able to use that to manipulate personalities, and basically they could create like a bunch of Mother Teresas, or they could create a bunch of killing machines. Like they will be able to leverage that to manipulate literally like who you are, right? And I thought that was crazy. But going back to all of these parts of our brain that are not being used, and seemingly when we use drugs to awaken them, we can see into a spiritual realm. I have no biblical evidence for this as of now because I haven't really researched it, but I got it thinking, you know what? I wonder if all of those parts of our brain that we have that we can't tap or can't use, I wonder if those parts of our brain, if we lost the ability to use those parts of our brain in the fall.
Yeah.
I wonder if Adam, the first man who was created perfectly without sin, and he was living in the garden, in paradise, walking with God, as not an eternal being. He's obviously a created being, but with eternal life, in the presence of God, able to perceive God, able to conversate with God, able to experience creation in its perfect form. I wonder if that first man didn't have a brain that was firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
And I wonder if in the fall, and because of sin and because of the fall, man didn't lose. We know man lost a lot of capacity in the fall, but I'm just wondering if that's not when those parts of man's brain became unusable, was in the fall.
Well, it's difficult to study it's a lot easier to study human anatomy, like the bones, the skeletal system of humans, rather than the neuro side, because we can dig up ancient human bones and study them. But like, we don't have a history of studying and understanding the brain.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know how it's...
Because to study the brain, you really have to study it in real time while it's alive.
And we haven't been doing that for very long. So, like, we don't know the differences. Like, if you could study, okay, we've got fossil records going way back of these animals and human remains, and, like, we can see, like, some of the adaptations we've gone through over thousands of years. Like, look, jawbones have gotten, slimmer or whatever. Like, you don't know that with brains. You don't know, they were bigger then, or they were smaller thousands of years ago. And like, you could tell through a autopsy from a brain 5,000 years ago that we did on 100 brains that, they were like, all of this in the back half is really lit up and now it's not being used, like you were saying. Like, we don't know that.
Yeah.
So it could have just always been like this, but it's degraded over time and adapted, or it could be that the fall literally just flipped a switch.
It just makes me think, because God created the human brain, and I can't imagine that he would have created it with all of this extra capacity to never be used for anything. I have to imagine he created it, the capacity of the human brain, to be used to the fullest extent in the perfect man. But when sin entered the world and man fell, our capacity in so many ways decreased. We became mortal beings. We were no longer able to be in the presence of God. That veil, I wonder if that's when that veil, if something changed then, when that our ability to perceive the spiritual realm changed that moment that funny, sin entered the world.
But also in that moment, it's like their eyes were opened. It's like there had been a veil over maybe the physical that was then lifted, and then another one was put up over the spiritual, because they didn't know they were naked.
They had no shame.
Right? Yeah, but then when they did sin,
there was no embarrassment.
Then that was lifted.
Well, they introduced sin into the world, right, on their behalf. And I wonder if, I don't know if there's any evidence that the Garden of Eden was a physical place. There's a lot of debate around that. But, I wonder if it wasn't the removal of that, like kicked out of the garden, was like you can no longer be in God's presence because you no longer have this ability. You're still living in the same spot, but you can now not be, you can't see God, you can't be with God because you physically can't experience him.
It's like the Garden of Eden was, I'm not saying it wasn't a literal location
sure it was
garden,
somewhere, but
it was like it was the whole earth.
Yeah.
It would have been the whole earth. Like, it's not like I don't think they could have went out of the bounds of this little garden and then lost it. Like,
being kicked out of the garden wasn't being kicked out of Rome, Georgia.
Right. It's like this was the earth. This was the state of the earth in this time before sin entered the world. And then you're kicked out. Boom. You see all this. But then the rest was hidden. I think a veil was lifted and then a veil was put back up.
And it was, and the mechanism of the spiritual realm being hidden, the mechanism was the off switch of the parts of the human brain that could perceive those things. But that's what I'm saying.
But this poses a question. It poses, if that's the case, then is the taking of psychedelics actually just bringing you closer to the natural original state of man? And that's a good thing. Like, wouldn't that pose that question?
Okay, yeah, it does pose that question. But you would initially think that, okay, that is a good thing because it's awakening a part of my brain that's allowing me to see something that, is closer to what perfect man could see. But here's the thing. I would say that man in his fallen state cannot wield that ability. And so that is why it will ultimately, when we use these things to awaken those parts of our brain, if I am correct in my theory, in our fallen state, it will ultimately lead to our destruction because we're seeing something and we're entering something that we can no longer wield.
Well, another way to think of it is when they had the ability to sense that, they also were in the presence of God as a protector.
Yeah, man.
Like they were being protected by the literal presence of God when they could see all of these things. And if you're taking a drug that actually does allow you to see those things again or some of those things again, but you don't have that.
Yeah.
So that could be.
It's like a governor. The whole time I'm thinking it's like a governor. And
Yeah.
you go take the governor off your go-kart, and it'll go really fast for a while till you blow the motor up because it wasn't supposed to be going that fast, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So that, to me, that's the thing that, like you said, Chili, when you think about it along these lines, your initial thought, I think most people's initial thought is, well, great. Why not take a look into these things? You know what I mean? But then it's like, no, you don't understand, man. Like, you can't wield that in your state. And if my theory is in any way, shape, or form correct, when in the resurrection, when God's kingdom is consummated and we receive our eternal bodies, all of our parts of our brain that we're not using now in our fallen state will then again be awake as they were awake in the first man, Adam. Again, this is all me thinking, all right? It's all me thinking about what are these daggone, because this psychedelic thing, this is a mainstream conversation. I mean, this crap is taking off, man. Like, it's taking off, and a lot of people are going and seeking this stuff out, man. I mean, like millions, dude. Like, I made a very short truck talk, a short version of this conversation yesterday, and you'd be amazed by the amount of people in the comments that say, yeah, I've taken all these drugs and this and that. And be honest with you, I'm reading the comments, and the majority of people who commented and said they have leveraged these drugs after some time and space between using those drugs to where they are now, they all look back on it as a negative experience. So that, that's another interesting thing. And then,
Like what negative? Did they say like negative and how? Like
they a lot of them feel like there was like a demonic influence entering into the equation when they were using those things, and ultimately a lot of people were saying it was causing a lot of confusion and stuff like that. But what this all leads me, I think, to my final conclusion. One of the interesting things that Jesus says I actually think it's in the book of Matthew, we just haven't got there yet. He says basically that when the Son of Man comes, when Jesus returns to consummate his kingdom here on earth, that during that time things will be as they were in the days of Noah. And when we go back and we read about the days of Noah, and especially in Genesis chapter 6, we read accounts of mankind, basically a defiled version of mankind. And the Bible calls them men of renown. So these are men who had either great physical strength, they had special knowledge, they had special abilities, mentally, physically, I think. But they had been defiled, right? They were no longer human in the sense of it goes on to say the reason that Noah was chosen to be saved out of all mankind is because he was pure in all his generations.
Isn't a lot of the thinking behind this that it goes back to Genesis 6 when the Nephilim?
It was, and so what I'm saying is that what it might look like now in the last days, how it might look like the days of Noah, is not necessarily another resurgence of these fallen angels actually breeding with women, But I'm saying the relation is in the defilement of mankind by us manipulating our brains into using Neuralink, using drugs, manipulating our literal brains in a way that is unnatural to man. And so I'm saying that we could potentially be the source of our own defilement in these last days, and that's how it could relate to the days of Noah. It might not necessarily be another, hybrid type of human that's some sort of demigod, right? I think there's a commonality here.
Do you know how much it would look like you were a hybrid type human that was a demigod if you had a computer in your brain?
Exactly, man.
I mean,
exactly.
That's how I would describe that.
Exactly.
Well, if you look at how those people treated and ignored Noah, then like he was, basically preaching the gospel. At that time, the gospel of that time, and nobody listened to him. And you think if these people had these chips in their brain or they're taking psychedelics, and how rudimentary would it be or elementary would it be for them to hear the gospel? They would be like, that's of old. Don't you know the new thing? Like,
yeah. Well,
we're not listening to that.
We will. I do believe that if the Lord lets us live in another 20 or 30 years, we, meaning God's people who choose not to partake in these psychedelic drugs or these technologies that basically corrupt your humanness, we who choose not to participate in those things will become irrelevant in society.
Yeah.
I believe we will become obsolete in the eyes of the world. Because right now you see much of the great, I'll use an example. The 60s, psychedelics became very prevalent in the 60s. You saw some of the most beautiful vehicles produced in the 60s. You saw a shift in design. Think about this. In our current day, you see many individuals who have achieved great success are advocates for psychedelic drugs. It is of my opinion that this is already happening, that those of us who choose not to use these things will fall behind in the rat race of life. Yeah. I do believe that individuals who do choose to use these things moving forward will achieve great success and will be men of renown. They will have more ability than natural man. Yeah. They will have special knowledge. They will have enlightenment, per se. Ultimately, all of it will be a lie, and all of it will only feed into their own prideful nature. But I guess to cap this conversation off, this is a warning to all of God's people. To go ahead and get ahead of all of this crap that's becoming very prevalent, because this Neuralink thing is coming, and there's going to also be a lot of things just like it that are probably coming, and all these psychedelic drugs are here, and they're becoming mainstream, and they're going to increasingly become more available, I believe, to the point that they will even be a simple prescription soon. This is a warning to Christians. You better take some serious consideration before you use these things. Because if I am in any way, shape, or form right, and we are actually corrupting ourselves, our very humanness, by using these things, then that is not going to turn out too good for you. All right? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think, guy?
People will hear that and they'll think, well, there's nothing that's uncorruptible or they don't take it serious. But then you look at, a lot of Old Testament stuff, like when the dude touched the Ark of the Covenant, when it fell off because they were transporting it incorrectly and no one was supposed to touch it. Like, that seems like, dang, man, he's just trying to keep the thing from falling. And what happened? He died, right? And then Moses didn't get to enter the promised land because he struck the rock rather than talk to it. And we think, well, come on, like, he led these people for this long amount, and he's really not, like, really, he can't go to the promised land because he messed this thing up. And then Ananias and Sapphira, they lied a little bit. Like, who hasn't exaggerated the truth before? And we hear those things and we think, oh, well, come on, that couldn't really corrupt our humanness. Maybe it couldn't, but look at all these examples.
And here's the problem: when you partake in these things, there's a case to be made that there's no going back from it either.
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of if that's the case.
There is a conversation to be had that there ain't no going back from it. You're just screwed now, buddy.
Yeah, there's certain things you do in life there's no going back from anyways. Experiences you've had, things you've seen, that kind of just folds into who you are at that point. What do you think, Corn?
Like I said, I don't know how much I believe it opens any part of your brain up, but I would say if you believe in Jesus and you believe Jesus is coming back and you believe nobody knows the day nor the hour, I wouldn't be hopped up on nothing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be hopped up on nothing. He might come back in a minute. You want to be hopped up on something?
Yeah.
Well, go on ahead and get hopped up then.
Yeah.
Put that double salmon burger down.
You know the biggest argument against all of this is?
What's that?
Well, all of this stuff occurs naturally. It grows in the earth.
Yeah.
That's the biggest argument against all of this.
Yeah.
A skunk occurs naturally. You want that joker spraying you?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of things that are natural that you shouldn't do. Like
The tree of life occurred naturally.
yeah,
right?
I mean,
That Adam and Eve ate from.
like alcohol occurs naturally. Like you shouldn't get drunk. I mean, I don't know why that's an argument that you should do it. What is the reasoning that you should do it? Because it.
People will reference the verse, I don't know where it's at, probably somewhere in Genesis, that all of the herbs are for your use or whatever. Like all of the herbs and plants that grow are for your use. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, what's that one plant? Cassava. If you don't it's some kind of food, but if you don't treat it 18 different ways and you just ate it raw, it would kill you.
Poke salad's that way.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, go get you some poke salad.
I mean.
Well, I even go really. You can go down the rabbit hole of speculation as far as you want to go.
Yeah.
It's about to be good.
And if we go back and we look at Genesis chapter 6, and we look that these sons of God were coming to the earth and cohabiting with men and also breeding with human women, they had 100% special knowledge and special power, these sons of God. And you could even take it as far as to say, well, what if some of these herbs you're using weren't potentially genetically modified while these sons of God were here on earth cohabiting with man?
I like that you're calling them herbs now.
Yeah.
Herbs.
Plants. What if these plants
Fungi.
What if these plants weren't genetically modified however many thousands of years ago it was when these beings were down here doing these things with humanity? I mean, I know that's way out there, but I'm just...
Well, it's also way out there to say this, but, I mean, everyone always envisions, an apple with the fruit from the garden. Right. I mean, I don't know. Since a lot of these things are natural, like mushrooms or whatever, I mean, it could... I don't know, maybe this doesn't make any sense, but, because it almost would have done the opposite of what it did. Like, it closed our minds off of the spiritual realm, but it's like, what did were they tempted with, something like that? Like
and there was something in that fruit.
You know what I mean? Like,
I could see that easily. I could see that.
I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't really make sense that the same thing that people are taking now, like a mushroom or whatever, that opens your mind like this. I know corn doesn't think it opens your mind, but like, did Adam and Eve eat of that? Is that what they were tempted with and ate of? But the problem with that is what it does to our minds now seems to do the opposite of what it did to them. So that doesn't really make. But I don't know. Mushrooms are a very weird thing. Like the fungi. When you look at
super.
When you look at how it is like all under the soil, I mean that's weird. Like why is it there? You know.
I would also like to research that verse that people always reference, where I think it's Adam's being told all of the herbs are for you to use. I would also like to know whether he was told that before or after the fall, because the fall also affected the earth, right? So that would be interesting to know.
Well, that would have had to been before, right? He didn't tell him much after other than get out of here.
Well, he told him that the earth is going to change. It's going to produce thorns and briars, and you're going to have a hard time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you received this word from God that you can use all of these plants, except for this one.
Are you talking about where he says you gives him dominion over all plants?
In Genesis 1:29, he says, "Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed, to you it shall be for food." So that was before the fall.
Before the fall. And so that's a big deal when we're having this conversation. God gave that to Adam, that word to Adam, when the earth was still in its perfect created state.
Well, but how many followers of Christ are is there a lot advocating for the use of these psychedelics, like legitimate followers of Christ?
Well, I don't know.
Well, that is an interesting thing. Like, what was the actual, in the Bible, it literally says they ate of a fruit, right? But that also says that they were given everything. So, like, what did they actually partake in or do or eat? Because, like, a lot of people don't like when I say this, but I don't know how literal that is. Like, to the literal, they ate a fruit. I mean, they could have ate something else. Like, what did that actually look like? What did they actually consume, and why was it separate from everything that God had given them? Does that make sense? Yeah. Have you ever thought, like, because, to use that verse that's used as an advocate for consuming mushrooms, like in the non-fallen state before they made the decision to fall, which they obviously somehow had the ability to do.
You have to think, too, most of these substances, most of these plants that you're eating, even marijuana, all the plants that you're eating that produce a high, the thing in the plant that's producing a high is something that the plant has built up through adaptation as a protection mechanism.
Right.
In the beginning, plants or animals did not need any sort of protection mechanism. They were in their perfect created state. None of them were going to be destroyed or die. Right? Like, you could pluck off a plant, eat from a plant, but the plant stayed alive.
Yeah.
So nothing needed a mechanism like that. So you can't reference that verse as a justification for using these natural substances that are causing your body to respond in these ways that we have chosen to like.
Yeah.
Such as marijuana is a huge one.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's good, man. Outstanding. Thank y'all. CB, what you got for Patreon today, man?
Oh, Dylan Mitchell. Y'all remember him?
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking to get a shotgun, mostly for clay or trap shooting, but might decide to start turkey hunting. What's a good, reliable, entry-level shotgun?
Entry-level for poor or entry level for a rich?
For Dylan Mitchell, bub.
He's pretty rich.
Dylan's pretty rich.
Yeah.
He's dang loaded.
Yeah. Yeah.
Benelli, Super Black Eagle.
What would you say, Blake?
That's entry level. Entry price.
I mean, I always go to the do it all. It's just like the 870 or the 835. Mossberg 870 or the Remington.
Yeah.
Mossberg 835 or the Remington 870.
Yeah, dude, that's for pours.
Well, but that's just the do it all. Like pump, you can do home defense.
Do all nothing good.
Well, I mean, they kill a turkey pretty dead.
870, man. That's as entry level as you can get, and it'll do anything. Just like the rifle version of that's a 30-30. Like they're right there dead even. But I don't want no pump for shooting skeet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I like that Benelli that I got, the Super Black Eagle.
What would you say, Corn?
If I'm talking about like, But the problem is it's long. I don't like a long gun to turkey hunt with.
Yeah. That's sort of like the same thing as the Stoger. Like that's Stoger's model is of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Black Eagle.
The whole reason you gave this question is so you could talk about turkey hunting.
I mean, if that is the most important part. He might be about to start turkey hunting.
That's the only reason.
He's finally coming up.
But the length of the shotgun is not. It's not a bad thing in terms of performance. It just gets unwieldy if you're carrying it through thickets and stuff like that.
Yeah. And it actually doesn't do a lot for patterns. You go get a turkey choke, you can get a good turkey pattern out of a 20-inch barrel.
Yeah.
And then you could put the same choke in a 28-inch barrel, and you're going to have a similar. It's going to be a little bit tighter.
Right.
But I think over and under is a good option for clays, turkey hunting.
I love that little over and under you got.
Yeah.
That is a squirrel killing machine, son.
That's mostly the
20
operator.
gauge, isn't it?
And that's a 20 gauge, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I've killed a turkey. I killed a turkey with it last year.
That's what I said.
What are you using, CB?
I got the Mossberg Turkey Thug.
Got the pistol grip?
Yeah. But if I'm shooting them clays, I use the Stoger, the model that's equivalent to that Benelli, which, the Stoger's a poor gun. The Benelli's a rich man's gun.
What about you, Chill?
Oh, I said it right off the rip. The best looking shotgun's that Super Black Eagle.
Now, you know what Zach said last time? The best shotgun, what
One
Phil
that
told
goes
him.
boom, boom, boom.
Yep. That's what Phil said.
Well, let me tell you this, Dylan. First of all, when you decide you want to buy a shotgun, get a good
Eagle's too rich for me.
shotgun. Do not just look for a entry level shotgun, because if you start shooting and you get into it, then you're just going to eventually go buy you a good shotgun anyways. So just go ahead, save your money up if you don't already have it, and buy a good shotgun. Number two, there is nothing out there on earth that is good for all of these different things. Trap shooting, turkey hunting, duck hunting, squirrel. Look, there ain't a shotgun out there that's going to be good at all these different things.
There's
all right?
not a do-it-all nothing.
No,
That's what I'm saying.
people that do these things have got a specific shotgun for each different activity, right? If you want the optimal, performance for your given activity. Now, me personally, I have a Browning A5 that I like, the humpback version, the Browning A5. It's got the humpback receiver. But I'm going to tell you, when I'm shooting skeets, I shoot Blake's Super Black Eagle way better than I shoot that A5.
Well, and it cycles.
And that Super Black Eagle will also cycle any shells that we've ever put through it.
Best shotgun.
It shoots better. It's got less recoil. I truly do think it's probably the best shotgun. And I don't know why they haven't come up with a version of that with a shorter barrel.
They've got a turkey hunting version with a pistol grip, and I think it does have a little shorter barrel, but it may be just a couple inches or something. Maybe it's 26 inch or something. Yeah, you'd have to order it, but it's like $1,800 or something.
Good night.
So there's your verdict. The Benelli,
Don't buy no $1,800
What I'm saying is too
shotgun.
rich for me.
the Benelli Super Black Eagle. No, Dylan got money.
Yeah, he's loaded.
Yeah, but he's got it because he don't blow it. Don't buy an $1,800 shotgun, Dylan.
Don't listen to him, Dylan. Look,
He'll be in that Walmart camo.
look,
if he does.
look. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you something about cornbread. Cornbread has had enough piece of crap shotguns over the last 15 years
He could
to
buy
have
a
bought
Benelli.
him an $1,800
All my
shotgun.
shotguns still running, bub. They still running.
Nonetheless,
Hey, my piece of crap shotgun won the turkey challenge last year. Built.
yeah, but you didn't look cool toting that thing around, though.
Maybe
You know?
not.
You got to count something for the cool factor.
Well, you also have to buy the shotgun that fits you, and the Turkey Thug fits you
It does, yeah.
big time.
Kind of does. It does fit his swag.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, Chili, you said that somebody released some war plans.
Yeah,
or
we'll
something?
make this quick. Yes.
I need to know about this, man.
Well, first of all, I did want to bring one other news story. We haven't done the news in a long
I
time.
know.
You were looking up the
I've got
news.
2 local stories, too.
I bet.
I do.
Well, something bizarre is happening to people who use GPT a lot. Something
Oh,
bizarre
crap.
is happening. It kind of goes on with our earlier conversation. There's been studies, researchers at MIT studying the effects of OpenAI's ChatGPT, and apparently people that are considered power users. So your power users, we're more your me and Cornbread are
Recreational.
Me and Corn are more your casual users. The power users are those who the majority of their day is spent using ChatGPT. So potentially, 8 hours, 12 hours a day they're using chat. They are engaging is what has been deemed problematic use, and leading to preoccupation, withdrawal symptoms, loss of control, and mood swings. It is said that they are growing dependent on ChatGPT and beginning to view it as a friend.
Holy crap, man.
So I don't know. They're doing legitimate studies on like what the effects of heavy usage of ChatGPT are, and it appears to be not good. Which I would speculate that, but it's very interesting to get some actual research behind it. It's saying that people are using it as a therapist and like communicating to it as you would a therapist, and it is given feedback that is so helpful to these individuals that when they are not communicating with it, they feel empty and like they're
Well, I seen Corn the other day. He was having a hard time, and I seen him in there talking to his phone in the dungeon. He didn't know I was here, and I wonder if that ain't what he was
This is
doing.
going to become a new secret addiction. They're going to have to open up rehabs for people
What
to
are you
withdraw
talking
off of
about,
Chat
bub?
Corn was in
GPT.
there like, I got a lot going on today, man.
Oh, crap, Corn.
Yeah, I don't know what that was all
crap.
about, but
That's wild, Chill. I mean,
it is crazy.
Look, if y'all want to know how to live your life, tune into the 307 podcast. We've been telling y'all for years not to use that crap. We've been now telling you not to use psychedelics. Don't get chips implanted in your brain. Don't daggone use this artificial intelligence, all right? Look, keep tuning in. We're going to tell you how to live a good life.
look, buy a squirrel dog, hunt when you can,
Yeah,
get in the woods when it's turkey season,
yeah.
read your Bible.
Well, so I just want to first say,
It's a good story, Chill.
yeah. This is the biggest thing in the news. I mean, I don't even really want to talk about this a whole lot, but I did want to.
You're the news program.
I did want to bring this to you, and I want to get y'all's opinions because there is a lot of different things that could actually be going on behind the scenes with this. There's a lot of different options.
We get to speculate again?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Jeffrey Goldberg, if you don't know who he is, he's the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic and the moderator of Washington Week with The Atlantic. So he's a big deal, big hotshot journalist, if you will. Well, he wrote an article in The Atlantic 2 days ago that is titled, "The Trump Administration Accidentally Texted Me Its War Plans." He goes on to say, U.S. national security leaders included me in a group chat about upcoming military strikes in Yemen. I didn't think it could be real, and then the bombs started falling. So basically what happened is Pete Hegseth set up a group chat on Signal. Do you know what Signal is?
Yeah. It's an encrypted text messaging app, right?
Yeah, that, by the way, when I did more research into it, I heard the creator of Signal say that it is not very secure in reality.
No, the Russians know how to hack it.
Yeah,
like that's known.
Anyway,
It's good if you just local and you're trying to say, "Hey, bud,
basically,
kill that turkey
they
over
were
there."
they were all saying that, like, if you think anything is truly encrypted and can't be seen or surveilled upon, you're just out of your mind. But anyway, they're using Signal, and JD Vance is in the group chat. Pete Hegseth is in it. You know, it's the whole team, and they're discussing military offensives against the Houthis in Yemen. And in that group text is Jeffrey Goldberg, a journalist to The Atlantic, and supposedly they have no idea he's in there, and he's just keeping quiet reading all the text messages. And what were some of the messages, Corn? Did you read? Like, no. JD Vance was like, yeah, this wouldn't be great, but we might have to do it. Like, they were just talking real cavalier and casual about it, and then a couple hours later, they're...
Were they some bomb emojis in it?
Not that
jet emojis?
Not that I know of.
Be cool if there was.
I think I said this text chain was 2 days ago. I don't know when this was. Maybe it was last week. When was the actual attack?
It was at least over a week ago.
Okay, yeah. But we're just finding out about this recently, you know. So that's just a big deal. I mean, and I wanted to ask your opinion, y'all's opinion. Is that just purely incompetence on the part of Hegseth and the rest of the gang to, like, hey, we're going to talk about this stuff on this group chat, and they literally just, because of incompetence, included him in there and had no idea? Or is there some sort of a foul play in terms of, like, somebody made sure, like somebody included him in that to get them in trouble? You know, like, unbeknownst to everybody, I'm going to slip this dude in here, add him in, and no one will see it, but this is going to cause a big thing. He'll be able to write the article. Were they hacked? And that's how this was allowed to happen? Like what do you think?
One of the guys that got the text message was actually over in Russia as part of that peace talk envoy when all those messages were going through. And that was when they was making a big deal. Well, the Russians know how to hack this stuff, and y'all are literally sending messages to a guy that's sitting there with them, you know, with the Russians.
Well, I mean, why do you think Jeffrey Goldberg was included in that group message? Just like they accidentally included him?
I think it could be either. Like, surely this wasn't the first time this has went on. You think this is the first time they had some, you know, big text message about an important event?
Yeah, I don't think so.
No. This is probably the gazillionth time.
I mean, also Goldberg immediately goes and writes this article saying that this happened. Like, if you actually were in the interest of national security, you probably wouldn't broadcast that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if that really happened accidentally, why would this dude, I mean, I guess just to go get a win, he's like,
he makes his money, man.
Yeah, it's like, look at me, I'm cool. I was included. Look what I get to write.
Hey, he don't care about national security.
But I mean, like, that would be a really bad move.
Did he write his article before, and did it come out before the actual bombing took place?
No, it was after the bombing.
So he waited until after the event took place to release his article.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he have released it prior to the bombing?
Well, it was so quick.
I think it was like 2 hours, wasn't it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like the conversation was happening and the decision was being made on what to do, and then they made the decision and it was boom. So he couldn't have.
I would have to read the actual content of the text messages that was sent. Like,
they were bizarre. They seemed very unserious.
Like in detail. I would, because there's also another option that for some strategic reason they intentionally added him to this text chain, but
Yeah.
acted like it was an accident or acted like it was maliciously done, or
because
something
now
like that.
they're like being grilled in the media. You know, like how could you be so stupid and incompetent and let this happen? Like they should fire Pete Hegseth. Like Trump is literally retarded. Like how could he do that? You know, how
Was Trump on the message?
no.
Yeah, if he would have known about it, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, he'd have shut that down.
Yeah.
He'd have shut that down.
Well, what it is, it's a little interesting that Trump wasn't on the message, right? Like, wasn't the thinking that this certain conversation was like a pre-conversation to then present to him?
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I
mean, it's really an interesting thing to happen.
I think any of the potential, reasonings that you presented, to include the one that I presented, that it was actually an intentional thing, could be possible. But it's so hard to determine which is which without,
right,
like, knowing the secret intentions of everyone who is involved in this entire conflict.
It is just very interesting to me because I could, like Corn said, I think there's probably been conversations happening on signal messages that somebody could have leaked for however long signal's been a thing, like all through the Biden administration, all through the Trump administration so far, but like they haven't done so. And like I bet that mistake, if you want to call it, or even just somebody having access that would do this, however they got access, has happened a lot. And now it's happening on this one. For what reason?
Yeah, I would lean more toward this journalist was intentionally added to this text thread for some strategic reason that we will probably never know or understand. But in some way it played into a strategy or a plan that they have set up, in stages that will unfold in the future, whatever those plans may be. But yeah, I mean, I would think that, like, if J.D. Vance's grandma got added to the text thread, like, I would think, well, yeah, that was purely accidental.
Well, but that would never happen by accident because she's irrelevant. Like this Jeffrey Goldberg, they are having to communicate with a lot. So, I mean, it is reasonable to think that somebody that, hey, you just talked to or whatever, it's like, oh, crap, I put him in this too. I mean, that,
I mean, the reality is it could have been an accident.
Yeah.
Like, you can't rule that out.
Yeah.
But I highly doubt it. Yeah.
Interesting.
These people's plans and schemes
they're deep.
They go so deep, man. And that's the reason I would lean more in that direction. It'll be interesting to see what comes of it, though, if anything comes of it.
It does say that there was the use of several emojis.
I hope so.
It really does. Did you know that?
Yeah, I thought that they were, but I hadn't seen them.
It says
how people talk.
There is further discussion of confirmation that a target had been killed and the use of several emojis. That's really funny.
The bomb emoji's pretty cool.
These people, dude.
Anyway, it's wild.
What's going on in local news?
Oh, it's big. It's big. So here in Floyd County, there's been some wildfires, and the Worston, which was up there in the road, there's still one going on 411.
Julio.
Yeah. The Worston, which was over there, Rosedale community, which was the first, and they're just any minute supposed to file charges on somebody stating that that's arson.
No kidding.
That was set intentionally to cause destruction. They released yesterday.
Mexicans.
They released yesterday that they were going to set up some charges, and within 48 hours. And they said, I checked it at lunch, and they said just any minute they're supposed to lock the fool up that did it. That likely got some houses.
They didn't allow who it was?
No, they didn't say who it was. They didn't say. They're not going to say until they lock him because he's going to push bond.
Y'all know these illegal immigrants are going to strike back. They're striking back.
What they are.
What they did. And also here in Floyd County, the 2 resident bald eagles have not laid an egg.
Oh, gosh.
And They don't know it's because of the construction that they got going on at Berry College that maybe they built another nest site
Or the
because
turkeys.
they're only visiting this one to say, hey, this belongs to us. They'll get up there and eat old fish or a rat and then take off. But they're not staying at it like they should be.
Local news: Berry College bald eagles raising turkey from.
Dude, do you know how many bald eagles are out by my house? Like, I see them all the time.
I see them every time I'm out there.
I see them all the time, dude. They're hanging out down by that lake all the time.
Yeah.
Look, we went to Barry one time when it was big about them bald eagles, and we had this dog named Hank. He was this little like Cocker Spaniel poodle mix, and there was a whole crowd of people there looking for these eagles.
Right.
And so we thought, well, let's go see what's going on. So we lock the doors and keep the dog in the car and walk over there. And everybody's there with their binoculars and phones out. And old Hank, he gets to yipping. He had this kind of high squeal barking. And everybody, they said, here they come, here they come. They thought that dog was them bald eagles. And they got their telescopes out and their phones ready. And they was all looking around. And finally, someone said, that's a dog. And they were so pissed. Everybody there was so mad about it.
You know, a bald eagle looks like corn until it's about 4.5 years old. It don't even look like a bald eagle.
No, they don't. And
Looks like what?
Corn.
Yeah,
like
and
trash.
the females are dark colored and all splotchy under their wings. They're
Right.
pretty easy to spot.
Looks like what?
Corn.
I could see myself getting into bird watching.
Yeah, me too. I've been thinking about that.
That's the age y'all are at.
Yeah.
joke.
What was
I
that
have.
called? Ornithology?
What's that called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just call it bird watching. But I was gifted a nice set of binoculars from Vortex Optics that I then gifted to Cornbread. So we both have nice binoculars. We should actually go out bird watching after turkey season.
We ought to.
You gonna watch some birds here soon, ain't you?
We'll watch
Hey,
one get
that's-
shot
hey,
slap in the
That's
face.
a video on the Cornbread and Chili channel, man. Bird watching.
Well, that's not very exciting.
Look at that, son.
We like to do things that are more exciting.
All right, guys. We love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you got anything out of the episode, go get you some HOIST or get you a pair of Ultra Shorts from Barbell Apparel. You won't be disappointed. And share the show with somebody that you think might get something out of it. We appreciate it. Love you guys. Enough said.